Hello, everybody. We are running a tad late, but we still welcome you to another fun-filled episode of Smoke and or Mirrors. Welcome to Smoke and Mirrors. We're here. Today's episode is brought to you by Ophalary Senses. Ophalary Senses. We need them to smell stuff. Also brought to you by Throats. It's what helps us drink. And now, here's a song. Whose house runs house? And now, here they are, your invenerable host, Carlos Kareem Wyndham. Make a little bit of noise. Make a little bit of noise for the people. Make a little bit of noise for the people. What's going on? I know I'm late. I'm sorry. I apologize. Smoke it. Oh, no, I can't breathe out yet. No breathing out yet because there's things to do. Okay. Hi. 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 You may have already surmised the surprise for the day, which is that the show, what we're doing, is going to not sound like shit anymore. So that's what we're working on here. Also means that I have a new friend, and so that's good because I have been here alone for 4 months, and so it's good to have a friend. And my friend is black, and it's good to have a black friend. And some of you need more of them. For instance, if you are watching this and thinking to yourself, "Well, I'm thinking of my black friend," and you actually have a number of people in your head at all, that's too few black friends. You don't have enough black friends. That's not enough. So, shout out to my good friend Tiger over at Talks with Tiger, who put me on to the type and kind of microphone that was needed for this kind of experience. And that is one of the things that, as I had promised you when we began this venture, would be an elevation. So one of the elevations has happened. Hopefully, it means that instead of sounding like I'm yelling at you in a box or a Zoom meeting, that we're even more intimate in our prophylactic adjacency. Who has a hot bevy? I do. Mine is made out of caffeine and beans, and they are both delicious. Hey, guess what? It is finally going to happen tomorrow. It really, truly is. I am so excited. In fact, I'm so excited. I want to hear something about it. That's right, goddammit. We're going to be here with Esperanza Turvalon Garrett, the one and only. This is somebody who has been the white whale of the show, or black whale as it were. Light-skinned black whale, though it may be, black whale all the same. And they are going to be here with me, with you. And I'm so very excited for that. So we're going to be doing that together soon. And then on Wednesday, this Wednesday, July the 21st, in very fact, I'm going to be here with my good friend, the Real Hijinks. The Real Hijinks. That was not me making fun of his voice either. I just want to be very clear about that. What had happened was I had a boogie in my throat, and I am much, much more aware of that given our new surround soundings. So, apologies. Anyways, that's what's up with that. And so that's going to be on Wednesday. But then on Thursday, it's going to be something of a party happening up around here, the kind of party that happens with words. It's going to be a word party. And I'm going to I'm going to be having that word party with somebody who I hope is going to be a new friend of the show. We've not had any chit chats yet, but you will get to see that happen live for the very first time right here in person on Thursday, July the 23rd with Kat Hollis. That will be a conversation that's going to be had talking some of the junks about the current strike that is happening in Portland, the stripper strike, and the role of dancers, of strippers, of sex workers in resistance movements, and the role that they have played in these here United States and continue to play in these here United States, and maybe some of the places historically that was born. We're going to talk about that on Thursday, the 23rd, with Kat Hollis. All shows this week are going to be at regular time, 4:20 to the PM on the P to the D to the X. Are you a patron of this here program because it's meant so much to you in your life and in your existence and helping you get through the Rona like it's helping me get through the Rona? Do you know what then you can do is to become a patron.com. Patron.com. Become a patron with other patrons who feel the same way, like Kristen and Michael and Renice and Tracy and Natalie and Tarika and Juliet. See that right there? That's one of the great things about being gender fluid. I know the roles. I know how to make my voice do the other thing too. Patreon.com. Patreon.com / smoke and mirrors CCB. Get with it. Get with the program. We're going to do it. We're going to do big things. Hey, listen, it's new. It's new. If there's bumps and thumps, that will have been me. I'm going to let you in on a secret. I've had some funsies doing this thing of pretending like I'm here with the whole production crew. I am not. I am here with me. And I have a production partner. I do have a production partner. That is Tracy. And you see her shouted out at the end of the show in the show notes. And Tracy brings to you some of the best of the brightest of the ideas of upcoming conversations, things to talk about and things to be had. If you've been here for a while, you can go back into the archives and you can see some of Tracy's good work on the What Is It, Never Had It, Never Will episode. That was the episode where we talked about the person who I said I would never again refer to as the 7-Up guy, and I am saying right now is the 7-Up guy. His name is Jeffrey, I believe, Holder. I'm probably wrong. You can go back in the archives and look. You can also try to correct me if you'd like, but what's happened is that our system of navigation, Ecamm Live, the one that makes it possible for me to do this with you, has done some tricksies to me and updated. And so what that means is that there are a few things happening right now that haven't happened before. Like I know I can see you seeing me. We see each other. Here's what else is true. There used to be a thing where I could see you and talk to you and do all that. I'll find it again one day. It's not going to be today. Today, we're just going to get into it. All right. I've been having a time. I have been having a time. I've been having a time because I have been up in my apartment. I've been following the guidance and the guidelines of the Rona. And I've been listening to the World Health Organization and the formerly funded and attributed to because it was given the data, the CDC. Now that they are being what's that word, castrated, I am trying very hard to listen to Dr. Fauci. I'm trying very hard to continue to listen to the World Health Organization. That is proving to be good. That is also keeping me here. I don't remember the thread of why I had started talking about that, except to say that we are insides. And, oh, I do. Yes, I do. It has been making me be an insane person and visit the glory of my past by visiting the records of my past. And music has been a vitally, vitally important tool for me for survival and for expression. And a lot of the folks who know me now don't know me from then and don't know that there was a time when I was even a famous rapper, MC. I like to say rapper now to denigrate the thing because the more I learn about it, and the more I learn about the origins and the truth of the expression of art that I love so much. That hip hop. When I say hip, y'all say hop. Hip, hip. That was me. That was me. Except for one time in Minnesota, we were booked at the wrong club by our very quickly soon to become former manager when I was with my group company of prophets, and we were put into a gangster club as hip hoppers who had that spherical lyrical, and it went more like this. When I say hip, y'all say hop, hip, boo, get these niggas out of here. So that was not a good time. That was not a good night. That's why they are now and became very quickly that night the former manager of Company of Prophets. That wasn't any fun. And I am also somebody who's been a hip hop chronologist and somebody who documented a lot of hip hop. I've been involved deeply since I was very, very young. I wrote my first rap when I was 10. I've shared it here before. I'll share it here again. This is the Wyndham residence, and they be out hip hopping with their friends. Ain't no one here, ain't no one home. So leave your name, your number at the tone. Leave your name, your number at the beep, and they be sure to call you back by the end of the week. My father was not very impressed that myself and my best friend Chris had left that on his answering machine, on his professional answering machine, as the outgoing message. But I couldn't help myself. I love this thing called hip hop, to the point that my father, being from the Bronx, I fronted like I was de la Bronx. I was in New York the summer that De La Soul is dead, and a little film called Do the Right Thing both dropped. I break danced. You can't say broke dance. That doesn't make sense. I break danced in the malls at Crossroads Mall in Boulder, Colorado, and got chased out of the mall in Crossroads Mall in Boulder, Colorado, by guards with nightsticks. I tried to graffiti. I was a toy. I was garbage. I loved the hip hop. What's becoming harder, though, is loving a thing that is so deeply and painfully diseased. I mean, I loved the hip hop. I loved the hip hop. The pinnacle of the loving the hip hop happened in a particular moment for me because I was always about expansive hip hops, and the moment for me was the moment when I got to play with Saul Williams and Angela Moore of Fishbone, who sat in with my band on drums. What? Yes, Angela Moore can play drums. No, that was clearly not the headline. I was in Company of Prophets. That's me, very hairy of chest. And that's a matted look that I don't rock any longer because the 90s are a thing of the past. Also, it's deep in my bones, okay? So I'm not new to this in any of the circumstances that I'm talking about, okay? This song right here, a song you know, right? All I need, get by, I all I need and need, yeah. Keep it with me and keep. I was there, not there, not there. I wasn't there. I love this song. This was a transformative song. I didn't really like Wu-Tang Clan. I'm going to be honest with you. It was not my favorite. Here's the thing. The idea of being threatened into liking somebody's music does not really appeal to me. Do you know what I'm saying? Invite me to a party. Let's have a good time. Let's have a drinky drink. Let's have a smoky smoke. Let's relax. Do you have some six-sided dice we can get down with? You want to play some spades? I don't know. Hey, what if we don't denigrate women? Oh, what if we? Hey, let's talk about our feelings. That wasn't the kind of party everyone that I was around wanted to have, so we did not. Um, and this was a seminal breakthrough song for me. I loved it. I loved it. It mattered to me very deeply. All of the hip hop, and the thing is, the hip hop is well, it's not good. And I don't mean it's not good like it doesn't sound good. It's not fun to rap to, dance to. You know, I will still. You can De La My Soul any day of the week still. Do you know what I'm saying? I just, it's just like I love hip hop. I love hip hop, but I feel betrayed by it because I bought into the truths and the principles of hip hop. Do you know? I bought into the four pillars and the fifth becoming politics and spirituality. I bought into the temple of hip hop. I bought into the Universal Zulu Nation deeply, deeply to the point that I am literally a check me out. That's it. There they are, right? I didn't make this. I got a serial number. What number 363? Who's this from? Who's this from? Huh? Huh? That's right. That's right. The Universal Zulu Nation, Bronx, New York. Come on. Come on. Member. And because I was in Boulder and there was not at that time any kind of a chapter in Boulder, I was it. I was it. I was it. But let me tell you this: if in the 1980s and 1990s you had around your neck a Africa pendant that said Universal Zulu Nation, as did one of the people who I met who helped me convince me to become a member, Mr. Crazy Legs, founding member. What? Yes. Whoops, I meant to say, no, damn it. That's how I became one of the members of the Universal Zulu Nation. So it was very upsetting for me to learn through time that what that also meant is that the founder, the person who put us on to the principles, this man, Africa Bambaataa, is a rapist, accused so of one of the young men's. Again, I'm hitting the mic. This is going to take some getting used to. One of the young men's who was one of the first members of the Universal Zulu Nation, and that would be Baby Bam. You can see Baby Bam speak to exactly such in a video that's still available on YouTube. And what was so disappointing about this was not just that these accusations came to fore, not just the visceral denials, because of course they did, but the hypermasculinity on which all of hip hop was built. A lot of that posturing was necessary posturing built of the movements that happened before that, right? The Black Panthers, a lot of the other things, and because there was a vehement hunting down of black male bodies during the period just before that, in terms of trying to separate them from families. And whilst there is an awful lot of child snatching and raping that did not get reported, still doesn't really get spoken to as part of those terrorist acts. What did get spoken to was the castrations of men, was the demasculations of men. And when we searched for power, we recreated many of those same systems of the patriarchy in the systems that we had built because we had nothing else to build from, right? We renamed them very African names, but that didn't make them African-based. That didn't make them matriarchies. That didn't mean that we were fighting the patriarchy. That didn't mean we were fighting capitalism. That didn't mean that we were fighting, therefore, slavery, because you cannot have capitalism without slavery, and you cannot have slavery without racism, and you cannot have that racism without a very, very visceral dose. Visceral? No. Big scoop? Second scoop. Sunday scoop. Ooh, like an earthquake. Okay, it's like the Ghirardelli's ice cream sundae called Earthquake, where it's every flavor of ice cream piled on top of each other, and you can eat it. If you can eat it all in an hour, you get it for free. That is what it is like to live under the patriarchy, the misogyny, internal patriarchy, cross-lateral oppression, and colorism and everything else that leads to the role that most black women are in, given a position, not role, position that most black women are in, given the United States. Now, when black male presenting peoples, those in bodies like my own, not unlike my own, a little bit unlike my own, went and established their own systems, they recreated a lot of these systems of patriarchy. And when they did, they created power for themselves. And when that power got threatened, they could not see through and pass their own vested interests in order to call power to task. And so, not only did and does the Universal Zulu Nation continue to persist somehow, some way, as does the Boy Scouts. Stop it. But so also too, the Cub Scouts gross. So also too did the resistors and those who would denounce any of the victims. Amongst those was somebody that we used to refer to as knowledge reigns supreme over nearly everybody. KRS-One has come to rock the party, was out there really talking that big rape denial shit when this all came down, which really does bring to question what that means, because these two together created an awful lot of what we know as the foundation of this thing that has meant so fucking much to my life. And if it is built on this island of lost boys that is truly about, I don't know, grabbing children from their homes and raping them because their homes had some level of domestic abuse happening within there, that is a problem. Now, what I want to say now is this. If you haven't already, and you are a survivor, and you are still here, you have not already left, I want to apologize because this is not going to get graphic at all, but I am going to be speaking to the domestic abuses and to the DV a little bit more as I keep going forward, because as we keep investigating the legacy, again with hitting the microphone, there's a bar right there, and you got to know I gotta do this so you know. Okay, so anyway. I hit the mute button on the computer because when you're writing to me, again, I can't see you. We'll figure it out. Back at the beginning, figure it out. Go back and look at it later. But with the new sound, which is great, and I'm loving it, there also comes this big robot bar. And so this robot has an arm that is reaching out, and it almost looks like it's threatening me. But anyway, I'm going to try and stop bumping it. I'm going to get used to it. Anyway, this means a lot to me because KRS was one of the MCs after whom I patterned quite a lot of what I wanted to be my legacy as Brother Los through the time that I first started rhyming when I was garbage in Colorado, and I was not very good, and it was D Flow, and it was Quick Step, and it was my man's Wiggles, who said, "Yo, you can't you're good because you're writing, but you're writing very like staccato, and you got to get out of here." And that's part of why I moved to Oakland. It was a choice between Oakland or Brooklyn, and Oakland also had the Panthers, so that's where I ended up. History, I like the histories of resistance, and that was the part that mattered to me the most. And so knowing that these two who had founded the Universal Zulu Nation and the Temple of Hip Hop respectively were both rapist and rape denier, and the founding fathers by their own definition, again, gross, patriarchy's the worst, of hip hop, that was starting to really, really, really hurt my feels. Now it gets ickier. It gets ickier because the reality is I don't know how I'm going to do that. Do you know what? I think we're going to have to get more technologies because I'm doing like a limbo thing, like it was a good idea to have it here because I didn't want the bar here. There was a version where it was like the boom and like you're watching a podcast. I didn't want that. We're going to figure it out. The thing is that it's not just stuck in my generation, and I wish that it were, because this is a contemporary issue as well in terms of the abuses in hip hop, and it is not just men abusing men sexually. Because I hope by now, and especially if you're here with me, you have some basic understanding that sexual violence and predatory violence is violence, right? It is not about sex. It is not about sexual desire. It is about power, and it is about power over, and it is about taking from, and it is about keeping, right? People talk about the past folks that they've slept with as their body count. That is morbid. What? Yo, That's not your body count. B. As somebody who survived the AIDS crisis, let me say something to you. Dude, no. Let's not say that. Okay? Ugh, it's gross. But it extends. It extends past a single generation. It is not a one generation thing, because hip hop is not a one generation thing any longer, right? So it's not just the founders of hip hop. We see this happening, continuing again and again. For instance, in your favorite Saint Lunatic, Nelly. You can do the Googles and the researching on all of these things for yourself. I'm not here to defend it. I'm certainly not going to be doing any sorts of sightings at the end of all of this. The producer and I, Tracy, my producer, and I do the research, do the researches on these things. This Nelly fella is has been arrested for the rapings. This Nelly fella, which is just the worst. Just the worst. That is just the worst. Just the worst. This Nelly fella also, it seems to be, has a proclivity for underage girls, and this Nelly fella is somewhat contemporary, because he still keeps showing up like at state fairs. I can't imagine where else he's showing up right now. But also, too, there is this other fella. You may know this fella. You may know this fella. You may know this fella. This is Nelly Jr. No, stop it. That is, of course, shaving from the side of Nelly's neck that fell down and got a little water sprinkled on it and grew into Chris Brown. Chris Brown. Now, here's what's interesting. As I said, I love hip hop. I am an historian. I am a member, because I don't think there's a way out. I don't know if you get back out. I think, like they keep drawing me back. I don't know how you get out of the Zulu Nation. So I think technically, I am still like Zulu, hey, Zulu, hey. So that being said, it is awkward to say Chris Brown, right? And also say the hip hop. Those two sentences to my mouth. That doesn't. That's not a tasty. I don't love it. It doesn't feel right. It feels. What's the other word beside? There's a different wrong, and but I've got to say it, and I have to say it because he was invited to the party, and while old school hip hop, because I am. I'm turning into a badger. Okay. I'm not bemoaning the young hip hop. I'm here for it. You want to have some young hip hops, have some young hip hops, and if he's down, he's down. But he was declared down by this one MC that the youngs, keep telling me is the greatest rapper who ever lived, and that is the Eminem's. Now that was after his datings of the Rihanna. Now again, here's the warning. I'm giving you the warning. I'm giving you the warning. I'm giving you the warning. I love me some Rihanna, some current Rihannas. Current Rihanna, who has been known to do songs with Eminem. This is true. This is a fact. I like some of those songs even. I can't even lie. I could lie. It would probably save my reputation right now. I'm sure that my invitation to the picnic is under review just because of that sentence. And I'm going to say a thing. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. That's fair. Rihanna is someone who is known primarily to look like this. Okay? This this young man, please, if it is disturbing for you, I'm telling you, please now is the time to look away. Had this person looking quite a bit more like this. So when we talk about the incident between Chris Brown and Rihanna at the Grammys, which happened because Rihanna was cussing out Chris Brown because somebody he had been fucking showed up to a Grammy party that she oughtn't to have been at. And she seemed to have been showing up looking for him. They got in a fight in the limousine, and by the time she got out, that's how her face looked. And many have continued to defend Chris Brown and to bring him into the architecture of hip hop, including, of course, your Eminem. Now, they recorded together. I said this. Why would I bring up Eminem in this? That's not fair. Is it because he's white? A little bit. But also because there was a point where a snippet of a diss track that Eminem had written about Rihanna had gotten released around the time that the incident between she and Chris Brown had come to public light, and he had written as a consequence. And I want you to, if the children, this is not the kind of language that I approve of. If there's any youngins watching this, I mean anyone below, let's say 25. I'm not in favor of such sentiments, okay, sentimentalities, as what I'm going to say. These are not my words, and I'm going to say them the same way I showed you the face, because this is how you cure cancer. You can't cure cancer by saying it's not cancer. The doctor doesn't say, hey, you have lollipops. No, the doctor says, hey, you have polyps, because that's more appropriate. So here's what was said. It was a snippet from a song called Things Get Worse, recorded in 2009 for the album Relapse. Of course, I side with Chris Brown. I'd beat that bitch down too. Now, that was taken off of the song Things Get Worse, which was eventually sold to B.O.B., infamous flat earther. Yay. How's that guy's career? And then he did, though, say on the final version that he murdered Dakota Fanning. She was 16 when he wrote that, and said, put Natasha Bedingfield in a washer. Put Natasha in a washer. Oh, I get it. It rhymes. When I say hip, y'all say hop, hip, ha, ha, ha. So this is not the newness. It's not the newness, right? And the unfortunate reality is that Eminem isn't the only one who invited our guy Chris Brown to the party. There's this other person who did that. Drakus, the actor from the children's television program, Degrassi High School Mouseketeers. And this particular Mouseketeer also had a relationship with Rihanna. You may remember, if you were on the planet when that was happening, because he would not let it go or let anybody forget. It was the creepiest, most visceral object lesson in why everything that was ever written by the creators of 16 Candles and the Breakfast Club is something that belongs in the distant, distant past and never brought to bear again. Ducky is a stalker, and it's fucking creepy. Yuck. So Drake had cast himself as the Ducky in Rihanna's life for a very long time. And then he and Christopher Brownsing the child from Soul Food, had a disagreement because Christopher Browning was having an entanglement with Rihanna until he wasn't. At which point, these two boys made up and started recording music together because, of course, they did. Because the rules of being a man, again, why is it that I've never quite fit into this? I do know the rules because of what I look like, but they don't apply, and I can't make them fit for me. Is that the rules are very simple: buy it, kill it, fuck it. There is one more overarching rule that I sometimes forget because, again, I'm not one of the bros. I am not one of the bros. Okay, I'm auntie. I'm auntie. Guess what? Bros before hoes. Bros before hoes. And so, Drakus, your favorite rapper, your niece's favorite rapper, your granny's favorite rapper, the rapper who is playing along while you do your pentatons, is uh, gross. Gross. Also turns out he may be something of a serial child predator. Uh, Drakus has recently been in quite a lot of trouble for texting with underage. I feel this is, I feel like we've told this story before. I feel like we dealt with this I thought, with the R. Kelly thing and all and the Michael Jacksons. It feels like we've been here, and yet we're still here in this weird way because this is happening now. The young, I guess we can say young woman if we want to, that he's dating right now, who is somewhere between 18 and 20. That's not her. That's a 14-year-old, and that's not a Degrassi High era photo. And Drake keeps grinding on underage girls and bringing them on stage, even though his lawyers and his adult fans have said stop it. The ones he had that he doesn't. Black Twitter spoke to this quite some time ago. This isn't news to us, but what I'm saying is that the fact, because it was planted in that other thing, and it just keeps growing like this blossoming tree of innuendo and hinting at what might be gross. And again, we can say the things. Baby Bam said a thing on YouTube. I don't know. Uh, uh, Chris Brown is gross, but hey, this music rocks and I like the club. But Drake is as the young people keep telling me, GOAT. And the policy of the country. Carmichael had spoken to it quite often. Art is more important, and talent is more important than morals in this country. But it's not new, is what I'm saying, and it's a thing that I've had to revisit recently. I've had to revisit it recently because during part my I spent a lot of the weekend morning crying. Oh, tears are good. They are so cleansing. And I was doing it because I had realized how deeply corrupt hip hop is. I've often had a thing about the fact that the first hit song in hip hop was Sugar Hill Gang doing the Rapper's Delight, and that the Rapper's Delight was essentially a rap stolen from the notebook of Grandmaster Caz, whose name is even spelled out in the rap. And the Sylvia Robinson then went on to create a whole genre built of biting, of one MC stealing from another MC, one DJ stealing from another DJ, and the call for authenticity was the real thing. But as you keep scratching this lottery ticket, there was nothing authentic happening in anything, because as we keep going into the people who helped keep creating the hits, and I love the hits. I love the hits. I loved the Run D and the C's and the M's. That was my favorite. Oh, the first concert I ever went to. Remember, I was saying I'm hip hop. First concert I ever went to, ever. Uh, uh, boom, boom, beep, boom, 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 bing, boom. Run, run, run. D, D, M, C, T, T, T. Do, do, dee, dee, do, 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 dee, dee. This tour, this poster is not from when the one I went to McNichols Arena. My cousin Steve took me. I was scared as shit. I was dressed like Eddie Murphy in The Golden Child. I even had on the little leather tam and a leather jacket. I had on a neon blue shirt, the whole situation, which also made me dress like Bobby Brown, who was the opener when I went. And I got to see Bobby Brown beatbox. And this is when he was breaking up with New Edition. So this was my introduction to rugged Bobby Brown. It was a new thing. I liked it. It was fine. He beatboxed a bit, but it was Run DMC. It was dope. Now, the other group, of course, who was there was the D and the M to the Run C's, and this is a group that was put out to us and given to us in the world by this person, by the Russell Simmons, who it turns out is a horrible, gross serial rapist. So there's a doc. There's a document. Nope. Nope. Can't do it. Can't do it. Get him off. 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 Okay. There's a documentary. There we go. That's much better. There's a documentary that is on HBO right now called On the Record. This documentary is the story of Drew Dixon, of Jenny Lumet, and of Celia, I'm going to say it wrong, Abrams. No, I'm not. I can say that word. I make words. MC. That is about the time that they spent in the hip hop, and in particular, the time that they spent in the hip hop in which each of them was assaulted by one Russell Simmons, or as many of us in the hip hop community had come to refer to him, Uncle Russ. Gross. Primarily, though, the story did focus, while it did focus on the reality that each of these women, now in their 40s, faced in their 20s while working for Russell, it did focus very heavily on the career of Drew Dixon. Drew Dixon is a name you don't know, but you do know Drew Dixon. The reason you know Drew Dixon is this. Drew Dixon was given the opportunity to be part of what was happening under Russell Simmons' management, right? So he was putting out at Def Jam your Beastie Boys, your Run DMCs, your Public Enemies, the soundtrack of that same very Do the Right Thing, yeah, Fight the Power, renewed this year and being loved with the remix with Nas and Black Thought. Giving Chuck D the platform that it gave Chuck D. Although we also have to say that does mean giving a platform to Flavor Flav and Flavor of Love. That is also because of what Russell Simmons had done. You know Russell Simmons, though. You know Russell Simmons, and so he's impacted everyone's life. He Fat Farm Clothing, you've worn it. Oh my God, what hasn't Russell Simmons done? Def Comedy Jam, Def Poetry Jam. If there's a Def Jam, that's Russ. He would be the one who'd come out at the end and go, "Thank you very much, good night." Russell Simmons, I'm Russell Simmons, thank you very much, good night. It's so wonderful to be here with all of you people. Thank you very much, good night. Like Russell Simmons, I didn't realize until today that I had a Russell Simmons imitation. That's how deep Russell Simmons is in my body. And this person, Drew, worked for Russell Simmons, and because Drew was an A&R and had such a good ear, Drew was given the opportunity to introduce the world to one Bone Thugs and Harmony, in fact, through an album called The Show, which, if you're a hip hopper, you know what that is. That was a soundtrack album, and everybody was on it. But actually, new artists were introduced as well, and Bone Thugs was one of those. It the fuck is Rakish Bone. Thug. She knew that she was fresh. She was introducing it to the label, and they were like, "What are you doing? We don't want this. This is garbage." She said, "No, no, no, this is good." They became huge, huge. She made a huge impact. She also had an opportunity to do this thing. She was in touch with, again, the tang of the woo tang, woo tang. She was around some of those very folk, and being around those very folk, heard one day the mumblings of One Method Man, one of the frontmen, and perhaps clearly defined as the best lyricist in Wu-Tang Clan, and certainly the most popular, if we're going by record sales, right? And he was at the time working very hard not to have any sort of a pretty boy image that wasn't going to serve them threatening you into their music. That was not going to be good. He had to tell you that he was going to, I'll take a nail on a spike and I'll put it through your fucking scrotum and I'll just start like beating it and beating it and beating it and doing albums like Torture. That's where Meth was really, he was a Maasai warrior at that. She heard Meth mumbling, keep it with me and you, and said, what is that? Turned out it was a little poem for his girlfriend. She said, wow, do that again. And then she started in her head, I need, called Mary J. Mary J, hey, do you know this song? Yeah, I know that song. Of course I know that song. Well, could you come here and just lay this down for me? Okay, I'm going to lay it down for you real quick. Laid it down just to hear it, just to see what was going to happen. There was no track yet, but then they did make a track. And now, at every black wedding of every Gen Xer and every millennial, I don't care really what the genders are, it is very likely that you may hear this song play. That is the work of Drew Dixon. Drew Dixon, who after having been abused by Russell Simmons, which happened after this song became a #1 hit, because again, the kind of abuse that was forwarded to her and thrust upon her is not an abuse that is of a sexual nature for the predator. It is an act of power and taking. And by claiming that power from her at the time that she had become one of the most powerful people and most important people at a label, that let her know that no one is ever going to touch me here. I am safe here. I am a moneymaker here. I make things happen. That is when Russell Simmons tried to take her soul and sent her out of Def Jam. She quit. She moved on to another label. She was having a pretty good run, and then the management of that label was replaced by one L.A. Reid. L.A. Reid, who made it absolutely clear. Clear? Clear. Did I say queer? I was being so dramatic. I say queer a lot, so if I did say queer, that would have been why I said queer instead of clear. Also, the words are very close. Also, I have MS. Made it absolutely clear. You will not sign these artists that you're telling me are geniuses unless we have sex. Quid pro quo. And so the world for another 5 years was denied hearing the voices of John Legend and Kanye West. Now listen, we could have done without the second one. It's all right. I understand, okay? But a motherfucker still did have a very large impact on the culture overall, not just hip hop, but American culture, and in fact, all of culture in the entire globe. So it is what it is. I don't like it either. It just is what it is. She knew about him first. That's all I'm saying. And was ready to sign them both. Then that threat was made, and she walked away from the industry entirely. Okay. Now, what has been killing me about that in particular is that I think about this song, right? I think about what was done. And this is the first time that we ever got to see, hear anything from Method Man that was not through a male gaze. It was not driven by hypermasculinity, toxic masculinity, and misogynoir. There was truly a love letter and an ode to somebody about whom he cared very, very deeply. And it is a classic. The fact that you know that Redman and Method Man performed together with regularity, that was the thing that was brought together again by Drew Dixon. All of the things that happened, Kanye could have happened earlier. Maybe that would have saved us having to hear him talk about all of his hustles, trying to get on with fucking Jay-Z once he finally got Def Jam. And maybe that would have meant that we wouldn't have had to hear this motherfucker trying to run for president right now. Because he would have got what he wanted, just the same way that if Adolf Hitler would have been able to paint his little kitties all by himself, just like George Bush. And if George Bush would have been able to put his little kitties in a gallery, maybe we would have not had so many goddamn global wars. Maybe that would have been true too. Maybe art could have saved us a lot of shit, but we'll never know. We'll never ever know. Do you know why we're never going to know? Because man took the souls of other people and ensured that there are levels and depths of art on this planet that we will never, ever have access to. We don't even know what we've missed. We can't even imagine how many different artists, how many different collaborations, how many different women would have been highlighted. When was Mary J. highlighted like this before that? Like this. As the love interest, key love interest. Not a back and forth fighting about, I got a man. Not all that bullshit. Real shit. We have no idea what we missed out on. None. And we never will. This happened to people in their 20s, when in the 90s. They're my age. They are healing. They are taking back themselves, or trying to, right? Claiming their own power. And when the film and the story was taken to Sundance, it seemed like they had power. It seemed like they had good power, right? Because not only did it get played at Sundance, but they also had the backing of the most powerful woman in the world, theoretically. Queen of the white women, Oprah Winfrey, said, yes, the story must get told. I'm a survivor too. You know how Oprah does. Girl, me too, girl. Girl, me too. What happened to you? Oh, you know what? That happened to me the exact same way, girl. Girl. You get a car. Kind of two Oprahs, right? Tale of two Oprahs. The tale of two Oprahs came clear because what happened is that at Sundance, suddenly word started getting out to Russell Simmons, word started getting out to powerful men in the industry that this documentary was coming out and it was going to be distributed on O's channel, and Oprah was going to take it and make sure that it got seen. And guess who collapsed under the pressure and decided not to show and not to support anymore this whole endeavor? It's the same person who, during the whole crisis around Michael Jackson, right, supported Leaving Neverland, did the interviews after the screening that were on HBO called After Neverland, went around saying, I believe the boys, I believe the boys, I believe the boys. The Jackson family and the lawyers found the smallest inconsistencies in these stories being told by victims who at the time were 10 and 12 years old. And based on those inconsistencies about, well, this part of Neverland Ranch that this grown man is talking about did not exist in 1992 when he said X, Y, and Z happened. Therefore, everything about this is a lie. And guess who broke under the pressure? Queen of white women everywhere, Oprah Winfrey. She said there was too much, and I'm quoting you, hateration. Y'all do know who was the one to coin that phrase, don't you? Mary J. Blige. So, I want to say this too. It's not about these individuals necessarily. Because as I said, when we look at what has happened and what is happening in terms of the exposure of Russell Simmons contemporarily, I apologize. And what happened with Africa Bambaataa, and what happened with Nelly, and what happened with Drake, and what happened with whoever you filled in the blank within your own head that happened to Wyclef Jean, that happened to, that this should just keep happening and keep happening, keep happening, keep happening. And the reason it just keep happening, keep happening, keep happening, keep happening is because this is the design of what it's built on, right? This is an exploitative system. Russell Simmons has often been described as being a bit of a puppy dog with ADD. You know what I'm saying? He had partners, right? In Cohen, right? He had partners what's that dirty nasty man's name? I was thinking of it earlier too. He looked like Sasquatch. Recorded with Johnny Cash, all kind of shit like this. It's gonna come back to me later, filling my MS hole. Uh, he had Rick motherfucking Rubin. Ooh, did you see that? MS can't get this motherfucker down. You can't get a black they down. They will dig in their own head and dig it out for you and excavate it. Rick Rubin. There were people enabling, surrounding Russ. None of them is being called to account the way that they ought to be. Just in the same way that there were all sorts of people surrounding and enabling R. Kelly, just in the same way that there were all sorts of people surrounding and enabling Jerry Lee Lewis, just in the same way that there were all sorts of people enabling and surrounding Freddie Mercury, just in the same way that there were people enabling and surrounding Michael Jackson, just in the same way that there were people surrounding and enabling David Bowie, just in the same way. And it makes it very hard to give any sort of exclusivity to the system to hip hop. But what we can say is this: when hip hop went from the time in 1992 when both Diggable Planets and The Chronic were gold and platinum on the charts, only one of those was invested in deeply. Only one of those continued to be invested in terms of a style of music and a presentation that got brought forth. And that is a presentation that involves quite a bit of misogynoir. And misogynoir, as we know, is a tool of slavery and of white enslavement, because only black women have ever experienced what it is to be not only the victims of abuses, not domestic abuse, I apologize, of abuses in the systems of chattel slavery, sexual abuses in the victims of chattel slavery. Also, it was a benefit for slave masters to rape them because the progeny ended up also being their property, in order for them to have more planters in the fields, more field hands, and call themselves planters. They were able to impregnate enslaved African women. By the way, the average age of the enslaved African girl was 15, around the same age as the sorts of girls that Drake is into. And it has made it very hard for me to feel like there is a good way for me to continue forward being okay with a lot of hip hop. I mean, it's just like I play records from the 90s from what I was told was the golden era of hip hop, and all I hear is the silence and the suppressed voices and the muffled shrieks of girls. I try to listen to Michael Jackson, and all I hear is the cries of little boys. And if I try to listen to Michael Jackson young and with the crew and with his boys, with his brothers, all I hear is Joe Jackson's belt across their backs. The patriarchy is falling. And it is falling in every place that it lives. It is falling in music, in the politic, in the body elect, in comedy, in the things that have meant so much. And because our faves have been subjected to being brought forward into these machines of fame following one song, as Joni Mitchell said, then I don't know how we see our way back out of it. But one of the ways I've had to see my way back out of it is years ago, I took that Block Party poster off my wall, removing the faces of Dave Chappelle and Kanye West, the very problematic idea of the Roots, who were on the Tonight Show when Jimmy Fallon was normalizing Trump pre-election, because these people, for whatever else is true, at least in our ages, in our generation, are my contemporaries and peers. Talib Kweli, who referred to me as a goofy fuck because he was stealing music from black women, and I called that out publicly on Twitter. Not alone. There were thousands and thousands of people doing that, but I was one, and he let me know I'm a goofy fuck who should mind my own business because I don't know what I'm talking about, And so I removed that, and I have been going through my old records, and I have all of these pieces of vinyl that hold on them and store on them not only all of these songs of these abusers, but all of these memories of my childhood. And both of those are true. And it's a place of nuance and mess, and I don't know what to do about it. But I have been mourning, and I have been mourning specifically the lies I've been told and the thing that I believed about how we were going to save the world with hip-hop. Because that's, while perhaps what many of us believed to have been the truth, that was never the purpose for which it was built. And as we know, you simply cannot dismantle the master's house with the master's tools. Hey folks, this has been another Smoke and Mirrors. Today was mostly looking at the smoke and mirrors of a thing that I grew up on that betrayed me and made a liar out of me. But there are other people who are trying to make good art that has been buried by the patriarchy. And many of those good people are making that good art through the work of the Marsha P. Johnson Foundation here on the West Coast. You can find out more about them all over the web, and you can donate and support them if you have an extra dime to donate to counter the work of the patriarchy. You can donate and do that through the arts at marshap.org/donate. Hey, this has been another episode. I said hey a lot. I need to find a better transition. You know what could be a transition? We could do like this. Hold on, let's go back. Okay, let's do a transition. You ready? Here we go. This has been another episode of Smoke and Mirrors. Thank you so much for joining me here. If you stayed, and if you came here, and if you did, and if you do, I appreciate it. This is where we build our community and we spend our time under the philosopher's tree. I will be having discussions under the philosopher's tree this week. I alluded to those at the beginning of the show. If you'd like to know who and you joined late, go back and watch from the beginning. It would be appreciated. Another thing you could do to support this is you could just share it. Just pass that to the left-hand side. Pass that duchy to the left-hand side. That's what we do here at Smoke and Mirrors. That's what I ask you to do when I say please, to put it on your pages. Please to share it to somebody who you think might love it, might learn from it, might hate it, you might want to troll them with it. I don't know. I don't care. Just share it, please. Another way you could support this is you could support it at, and if it's too much to make that commitment on the Patreon, go ahead and hit me on the one time, and you could just drop that at Venmo, at Carlos-Wyndham, at Cash App, $CK Wyndham, or at PayPal me at, not at, PayPal me dot CK Wyndham. You got a thought about it? You got a thing to say? You got something you want to pitch? Something you want to see on the show? Something you don't want to see on the show? You want to tell me how brilliant and beautiful I am? You want to tell me how fucked off I am? You can hit me at smokeandmirrorsccb@gmail.com. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time underneath the philosopher's tree. It means the world to me. I want you to take care of yourself. I want you to take care of each other. It matters very much. Please stay inside. If you cannot stay inside and you're outside, please wear a mask. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. And please, 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 for the love of God, wash your hands. I love you. I see you next time. Okay, I see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Bye.